a crucial message that you have learned so far from the essence of motherhood?
So I think it really is to chill and just be, because I think sometimes we get very overwhelmed when we see the amount of information out there. So we think we have to do 100 things. So even with food, I know sometimes when my clients see my Instagram, they get a bit like, oh my God, there's so much info or what to do. And I think the main thing is, chill, relax. But if you feel there's something off or something wrong, it's worth it contacting an expert. It's worth going to check, because most of the time the mother's instinct is correct. So if you feel something is off and you want to fix it, or if your child's not eating, or there's something you feel is off, it's always just get it checked, because I think early intervention really helps, and these are the years that will really develop their relationship with everything in life.
I warmly welcome you to the season 2 of the Women's Stories, a podcast that inspires young women to explore entrepreneurship and have faith in the destiny. So, my first question for you is, what are the three most common struggles that every woman faces while feeding her toddler?
Yeah, so I think that the main issue is really related to the fact that, we expect our kids to eat a lot more than they actually need to. So I think it's more about just giving up that control and letting our kids decide how much they need to eat, right? Because that is always their role. There's something called the division of responsibility. And what that means is that your role as a parent in feeding is you are going to decide what your child is eating, right? So we have to create a balanced meal, where they are eating it, meaning sitting down in a certain location, and when they are eating it, meaning you're offering them foods at regular intervals. It is their job to decide if they're going to eat and how much they're going to eat. So as soon as we say, please have one bite, oh, it's yummy, just try it, we are trying to get into their role and decide that they need to eat this and they need to eat how much of it. And as soon as our kid says, I don't want it, I want the banana, and we run in the kitchen and we get the banana or make something else, that's our kids trying to decide that, okay, no, we don't need to eat what's on the table. We can choose what we want to eat, but that is not their role. Now, of course, this is easier said than done. But as soon as we understand that only they know what their body needs, it's like, imagine if you're sitting at the lunch table and someone's telling you need to finish that bowl. Now, for all of us, some days we're more hungry and some days we're not as hungry. So same thing with kids. Some days they might not be as hungry for lunch, but we still expect them to finish that bowl, completely every single day. And I think that's where the struggle is. So it really is about kind of letting go at meal times and instead creating a positive environment, just letting them enjoy, because meal times are about family times, about engaging, not only how much.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I do know that you do have Indian roots, and in India, you know how the mothers feed. I mean, yeah, even I used to put my food like at one place, and like I used to make a value. So my mother will slap, and then I will push the food onto the other side.
Yeah, I think it's, we can't help it, because obviously we want our kids to be healthy, and but we also need to understand that they are kids, they're going to make a fuss, and as soon as we start putting so much pressure on them, it's going to backfire. It's not going to work. And unfortunately, that's why so many of us as adults have issues with eating. We're running to nutritionists, and the nutritionists are telling us, listen to your body, are you really full? Because we've lost track of our hunger cues, because growing up we were just told eat, and we've never listened to our body. So what I try and do, and even it's a work in progress, even with my kids, I'm still trying to be like, it's okay, they didn't want to eat that much, it's fine. It's not easy, but as soon as we let go, honestly, everything becomes much easier.
So how do eating habits change between 0 to 6 years of age?
So I think, so normally when they start eating, it's around 6 months when they start solids, like actual food, right? So generally from the 6 to 12 months, kids generally enjoy eating. They try different foods because it's a new experience for them. And in the first year, milk is still a priority. So it really isn't about how much they're eating. It's about creating that mealtime environment and teaching them about meal times and how to feed themselves. Post 1 year of age, all kids go through a phase called neophobia. It's a fear of new foods. So it's very normal for them to start rejecting foods they didn't like. And they're also learning to run around. They learn to say the word no. So they try and, assert their independence. That's why it's so important for them to feel in control of mealtime, so they don't feel the need to do that. And it's very normal for them to not eat as much, because remember, in the first year, they're tripling their birth weight. So they need more calories. But post 1, they're gaining like very few kgs a year. So even though they're exerting a lot of energy, their body doesn't need as many calories as they did in the first year. So, the best thing we can do is really let them have a positive relationship with food. Let them sit down with you guys, eat the same food. They don't need to eat as much as we do. Just give a little bit of everything and, let them decide. So it is going to change. All kids go through a phase. We just have to remember that it's normal. It's part of the process. It's okay. Get them in the kitchen, get them involved in meal times, take them to the supermarket, show them the foods, because we just bring the food out and we're like, okay, you have to eat this. They don't know where the food has come from, how it, was made, what's in it. So, it's very normal for them to be a bit resistant towards it. And, especially when they start understanding and speaking. So it's going to change, and we just have to adapt to it and do our best.
Yeah, and just a curiosity question, like after 3 years of age, a child start going to school. Yeah, and there are tricks and tactics that, make the food decorative so that he or she opens the lunchbox and eat. But what if the child is reluctant and he's not ready to eat the food, or, just not ready to check what is in the lunchbox? So how a mother could ensure that even at a distance, the child is eating the food?
Yeah, so I think that it's very important to always include a safe food with a meal. Now, what is a safe food, right? A safe food is something that your kid has accepted before, or something that your kid is really enjoying eating. For example, my kids suddenly are obsessed with tomatoes. So if, for example, I'm offering something new, I'm putting something in their lunchbox that I'm not sure they will like, I will make sure I'm always adding 1 or 2 pieces of tomato, because then I know that there's something in the lunchbox, or there's something at meal times that can attract them to it, because they hear that, like, okay, tomatoes, and eating begets eating. So once they eat the tomatoes, then they're listening to their body and saying, oh, wait, I'm hungry. Oh, what's this here? They might touch it, they might not eat it, it's fine, but at least it's the one step to get them to actually maybe interact with the food and maybe, try it. So I use the tomatoes to get them to the table, and then once they're sitting and they're okay, then I'm like, okay, here's your rice, here's your dal, here's your other stuff, and I let them, choose what they want to eat. So even with lunch boxes, I mean, there's so many things you can do. So try and put a safe food. Like if your kids love cheese, make sure there's a small piece of cheese. And with any new foods or anything they don't love, don't put too much of that, because if they open the lunchbox and they see a big piece of that, they're going to freak out. So you'd rather have the safe food and put very small pieces. They don't need to be eating as much anyways that we think. So it's about making sure that they feel safe and they don't feel that pressure. And I actually like, lunch boxes as a way to expose them, because you're not there. So they don't have the pressure from the parents to eat. So you might be surprised they might come back without, meaning having eaten the food.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's an intriguing trick. I hope that all the mothers would take this from this episode. And often, baby throws out milk in initial years. Is it normal to throw out milk in this way? And what are the usual reasons behind this phenomena?
So, see, in the first year, breast milk or formula are the primary sources of nutrition. So it's very important that you are feeding your baby, either breast milk or formula. Both are totally fine. And even when they start solids, they're still having majority of the milk. As they start eating more, milk will naturally decline, but you still need to keep that set amount. Now, post 1, kids don't actually need milk to survive. And actually a lot of kids, in fact, do like to stick to milk. And what happens is they won't eat as much because they're having too much milk. But post 1, you should never exceed 15 ounces of milk, because that can actually affect the iron absorption when they're eating food. So, I would recommend that post 1, they don't really need a lot of milk. The time you actually give milk is in the morning or in the evening. So morning when they wake up while you're prepping for breakfast, and at night you can offer some before they sleep, just to make sure they're full for the night. And they don't really need more than 4 to 8 ounces. So if they do reject it suddenly, a lot of times they reject it because we try and get rid of the bottle, and they don't want it from the bottle. They want it, they only want in the bottle and not from the cup. So it's all about practicing from an early age. So all my clients from 7 months, their babies are practicing drinking from a straw cup, having some water. So by the time they're 1, it's easy for them to transition to cow's milk if they want. Cow's milk is a superfood because it has everything, a kid needs in terms of like protein, fat, vitamin D, all that, but they don't need it to thrive. So if they stop for whatever reason, don't worry about it. Just make sure their food is anyways balanced and has a lot of nutrition.
So basically, I mean, like if the child is fed more than his or her capacity, then he or she will throw out the milk. I mean, the digestive system would react in a way that it like automatically comes out from the mouth.
Yeah, so they tend to, most of the times they will spit out the milk if they are overfed, to be honest. So if they've had a meal and then soon after you give milk and they just had too much. So most of the times my clients or babies throw up because they're fed too soon after a meal, or because their body is just they're actually too full and they don't need as much milk, and we still keep trying to give it because they didn't eat much. And then parents realize very rarely kids throw up because of a sensitivity to the milk or something like that, but that you can check with your doctor. But most of the times it's just about pacing it, and post 1 they really don't need as much milk, so don't worry about that.
I mean, got it. So, what is the appropriate process to start weaning? What kind of flavors should be initially introduced, and so forth in the next years?
Yeah, so in order to start weaning, you need to make sure your baby has met some developmental signs. So these usually show up around 6 months. So they should be able to sit with minimal support. They should be able to pick up things with their hand and put in their mouth. Their tongue thrust reflex should be gone. So if you put a spoon in their mouth, they shouldn't be sticking their tongue out, and they should have an interest in food. Once you see all these signs, you can start off with weaning. Babies' foods don't need to be bland, number 1. So all seasonings are okay, except for salt, sugar. We avoid salt till post 1. Sugar, especially refined sugar, we don't want babies to get used to sweeteners. but there's no harm in adding seasonings. You add your haldi, jeera, the kothmir, add chutneys, all of that, cinnamon if you're giving fruit. We want them to eventually eat what we are eating. So we should use the same spices. Even my clients at 9 months, they start using a pinch of curry powder, garam masala. Babies can actually handle it. So, and I also recommend, don't add breast milk or formula to the foods, because we want them to enjoy the natural flavors. So obviously, if you want them to eat, we want the food to taste good. So, I would recommend just do a variety, make the foods flavorful. If you're non-veg, add, bone broth to it. Vegetarian, add a veg broth. It's good for their immunity. And, slowly work up with a variety of fruits and veggies. Then start adding some protein in because they need the protein. Cook with oils, olive oil, avocado oil, ghee, butter. All of this is great fats. They need the fats for brain growth. So, this is what I really try and do, guide parents on when to introduce what, but really don't worry about, including these. It's really, really good for them nutrient wise and to make them get, develop their taste buds as well.
Yeah, I really like the list that you prepared on your website about the different spoons because, of course, as a child, and I've also seen like most of the plastic spoon sometimes cut the tongue or the upper palate. So yeah, I think list would be very helpful. So I mean, anyone who is listening to this podcast would check it out. So every country has a different meal pattern. What difference do you observe while preparing a meal plan for an Asian and a non-Asian client?
So honestly, for me, for all the babies, it's all about variety, right? And you also need to think about, where your kid is living and what food you're going to offer and just get them used to that taste. So, and I think all of us right now are quite international. We offer a whole variety of cuisines at home. So it really is about, even in terms of preparation, it's more about, okay, where's the client from? What foods do they eat? And let's figure out the right time to introduce it, So most clients are open to offering their kids a variety. So we tend to, just do everything in that sense. So it's not really that it needs to be different. And actually it can take for example, if you offer your baby something they don't like it can actually take them up to 15 times to accept a food. So it's all about, continuous exposure, different tastes. You might be surprised your kids might like something that you think they wouldn't have liked and vice versa. So in terms of preparing the meal plans and all, it really is about also, what's local, what's seasonal, that's the best. So, a lot of my clients in India, like, strawberries and blueberries weren't in season. So we didn't include that. And when mangoes were in season, we were offering that, the freshest is the best. So, we really look at what is available there, what is everyone eating at home. And we start to, expose the kids to that early on and give them multiple exposures so that, they have the opportunity, even cooking it in different ways. So really think about, what you want to offer your kids and what you guys eat at home.
Got it. I mean, yeah, like in India is known for its spices, so we like kind of put turmeric and coriander, everything, and it's not these spices are not available and even not like preferred in especially like USA. They are all about hamburgers and burgers. So
right. But I think a lot of them now are trying to be, healthier for the kids and, they want to try it. I mean, for them, it's definitely a superfood things like, haldi and, all of that and ghee. And for us, it's something we've been growing up. I think we really need to understand that what our grandparents and all were doing was correct. Unfortunately, we don't get such fresh foods anymore. A lot of it's processed and all now. But even in the US, if you are in the US, honestly, it is about just variety of seasonings, natural, homemade food, whatever you can. There's nothing wrong with meats. If you want to do a hamburger, just get good quality meats and, cook it with the right oils, cook it at home, try and do whatever you can fresh. And now there's so many great cookbooks and recipes and all to make healthier versions of the stuff we love. So, it's and even for them, the seasonings, they are open to trying all of these. So yeah, just make the food flavorful for sure.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Is there any like Sanchita's original recipe for kids that always work as a savior, like that you have almost included in every meal chart?
Yeah, so I think especially for toddlers, one of the best things is, a lot of toddlers like roti, like they like to eat pieces and just have it plain. So even if you're giving your kid a roti and they don't want to eat the sabzi, for example, then you literally do roti, jaggery, and because kids like jaggery because it's sweet, plus it has iron. Roti, jaggery, ghee, that's so simple. If I'm giving my kids something that I'm not sure they like, I know I have that. That has the carbs, it has the iron, it has the fat. So even if they only eat the roti, I know that they're going to be okay. And that's all they'll be full with that. So, that is definitely something that has worked really well. And even smoothies, pancakes, there's a lot of things. I think every kid is really different. So another thing that works well is like, chocolate ice cream, chocolate milk using the the cacao powder. Kids get excited about that because it's chocolate. And, or I use spirulina and I make ice cream and I say it's monster ice cream because it's green. So, it's just about making it fun for the kids and making them feel excited about what they're eating.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, jaggery, that's the desi meal, I mean, coming from the Indian roots.
Yeah.
So with your experience, what would you advise young minds about this field, child nutrition? Because many students might be listening to this episode who are keen in child nutrition.
Yeah, so I think, like, I remember when I was trying to study about this, like I was looking online for so many courses because I felt like everything was all about adults, and even all the nutrition courses were basically, they'd have one chapter on children, but the rest was all about adults. And actually what a baby and toddler needs is very different to what an adult needs, or it's not enough to just do one chapter or one section. So you don't even need to do a full nutrition course in that sense, but try and find something that specializes in baby nutrition so that you can obviously understand really what babies and toddlers need. And honestly, for me, it really is about experience and working with different clients. And I think you realize that every kid is very different, so it's all about finding what works for the parent and the child, and adjusting to that.
Yeah. So is there like any course, online course that could make a person certified child nutritionist?
Yeah, so I did a course with O Baby Nutrition in Canada. So they are an online academy, and they literally only focus on moms who are pregnant, then like how to help with their health, and then they have a course for babies as well. So basically, they teach you everything about like the equipment you need. Should you do baby led weaning or spoon feeding? All that nitty gritties. Because if you talk to a pediatrician as well, their focus is not on food. They'll just say, okay, start, give them whatever you eat. But there's so much more to it. There's so much more details. And I would recommend anyone, even if you're doing a course, like I did the course, but I, after that, did about 20 more mini courses. I was reading every day. So especially if you decide to do a service, you want to be the best, you want to have that skill set, right? So even after you do a course, don't stop there. You have to keep up with what's happening the latest. So keep studying, keep doing mini courses, follow people on Instagram. You can learn so much from other experts as well. And with each client, you can learn a lot, and you keep building it in that way. So don't stop learning and, studying about it. It's a lifelong thing. So definitely if you want to do it, it's like, I didn't do it till I had my kids, because till then I didn't care about child nutrition. So I think it's more when you have a kid and you realize that, wow, I wish I had someone to tell me. And that's when I was like, you know what, I need to take things into my own hands. So I think a lot of times these professions and what you want to do comes out from real life situations you've dealt with. So, for me, that was great. And now I enjoy what I do because I can apply a lot of it to my kids. So, it really is about finding something where you can, help people as well. And you feel like your time is worth spending. Like now I have to take time away from my kids, but I know it's worth it because I'm able to help other moms. So really think about, what you're good at and how you can kind of take that in and help other people. And, and especially if you want to do a service, what is that skill and something that you don't feel is so out there from what you're doing in life. So, because then it really separates work and life, and you kind of want to be able to find that balance, especially being a mom. You get a lot of mom guilt, when you leave your kids and you go to work. So, it always helps when you feel like you're doing something that can really help other people.
Yeah, I mean, I can feel that. And I think you must be doing a lot of studies for every client, because as you said, every client is different. So,
Yeah.
So could you please give a quick meal plan to working parents who are into 9 to 5 jobs?
Okay, for the parents or for the babies, or?
For the babies, like how parents could.
Yeah. So honestly, it's very simple in the sense there's 4 main things every meal needs to have for your kid. So the main thing is you need to focus on breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Babies and toddlers don't really need snacks. It's more like a gap in case you feel there's too many hours in between it. So the 4 main things every meal should have is, one should be a carb. So make sure there's either something like a roti or rice or even any root veggie like potato, and then or lentils even has carbs. So 1 is carbs. 2 is make sure you're cooking with a fat. So make sure you're cooking with an oil, coconut oil, olive oil, ghee, butter. Make sure there's a fat. So carb, fat. Make sure every meal has a source of protein. If you're non-veg, it will be the chicken, the egg, turkey, whatever it is, pork, whatever you want to feed. If you're vegetarian, you'll have your lentils, you'll have your beans. Make sure you're adding nuts and seeds to every meal, because that's the one thing we tend to miss out on, right? Like we'll give a kid a fried rice and it will have the rice, it will have the oil we cook it in, but we don't add the tofu, we don't add the egg, we forget about the protein. So make sure there's a carb, fat, protein, and make sure there's a fruit or veggie. They need that for their immunity to expose them to variety. So, even if you're doing like a potato tikki, right? The carb would be the potato, the fat would be the ghee you cook it in, the veggies would be whatever you're adding to it. But then you have to make sure there's some protein. That's what we're missing. So either serve it with yogurt, or you can add some nuts or seeds to the batter, and that's it. That's a complete meal. So it doesn't need to be difficult. Even pasta is fine. Just get whole wheat pasta, semolina pasta. That's the carb. Cook it in like a veggie sauce, and then add some nuts or seeds, or add serve it with some chicken pieces. That's your protein, and you have everything you need there. So just focus on those 4 main things.
Yeah, I think that's the benefit of talking with experts on internet. Everything seems so complicated, like you need to do this and that.
Exhausting. Yeah. So that's why I think that's why I'm doing what I do, because at least then okay, this is what I need to focus on, and then every meal you can just say, okay, I have these 4 things, okay, I'm done. And just rotate as much as you can. So that's why I give my clients a whole list of all the carbs, so they can rotate the carb for every meal. So it's not like you're giving rice every day. You don't have to, because we don't know how much they're going to eat. But what we can do is make sure we're giving a balanced meal and we're offering variety.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, do you wish more fathers were also aware of child nutrition? What initial steps can they take to learn the same?
Um, so it depends on the father and it depends on how involved they want to be. So obviously, I think it's very important for them to somehow be part of meal times and be part of the prep, because when kids see that, they feel like it's not like a forbidden place, the kitchen. They feel everyone can go into it and everyone can be part of meal times, because the number one thing to help kids eat their food is when they are part of the cooking process. You know, when they are making the food, when they are making decisions what goes in, they are more likely to eat it. So if they feel like everyone else is also going in the kitchen and open to making their food, it's actually such a great and fun activity to do. So it's not necessarily that the dads need to cook or they need to feed their kids, but just being there, eating with them, sharing with them. Like a lot of times when my husband is eating, my kids will want to go and sit with him and eat what he's having, because, you know, obviously kids learn through modeling behavior and they want to do everything we do. So for them to just be present whenever they can and eat with the kids when they can, and, you know, get into the kitchen, even if it's to make a simple smoothie or cut a fruit, you know, that can really help with the relationship kids will have with food.
Yeah. So, like, is it naturally that the kids are more inclined to be fed by their mother?
Yeah, I think in fact it is. Actually, it's quite sweet. Like I've had quite a few meetings with clients where the dad has also been part of the meeting. So I really appreciate that and enjoy that. Most of the times it's just with the mom. But like even my husband has no idea what my kids eat. You know, I mean, it's just part of the process. But it's nice sometimes to see when the dads come on the call and they're asking the questions as well and they want to be involved, because it is quite overwhelming for a mom as well. It's such a new experience, and, you know, to kind of accept the information and be okay with how your child eats is not easy.
Yeah, I get the mess. So, lastly, a crucial message that you have learned so far from the essence of motherhood.
So I think it really is to chill and just be, because I think sometimes we get very overwhelmed when we see the amount of information out there. So we think we have to do 100 things. So even with food, I know sometimes when my clients see my Instagram, they get a bit like, oh my God, there's so much info or what to do. And I think the main thing is, you know, chill, relax. But if you feel there's something off or something wrong, it's worth it contacting an expert. You know, it's worth going to check, because most of the time the mother's instinct is correct. So if you feel something is off and you want to fix it, or if your child's not eating, or, you know, there's something you feel is off, it's always just get it checked, because I think early intervention really helps, and these are the years that will really develop their relationship with everything in life. So, you know, starting young will definitely help.
Yeah, that was a perfect wrap to this episode, and I hope that you thoroughly enjoyed this conversation as much I did. I mean, I'm not a mother; I'm a 21-year-old. So yeah, but I'm preparing. I'm just collecting all the information.
No problem. It's always good to be aware of these things, and I wish I knew more when I had my kids, so that I knew I would have a plan or someone I could go to. So obviously, knowledge is power, and having this information is always helpful. So thank you so much for having me.